Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Pete's Ghias, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get your original Karmann Ghia horns honking again. So these are a pair of 6-volt Karmann Ghia horns, and these do not work. So what I'm going to do in this video is take them apart, clean the contact points inside, make sure they make a sound, and then I will paint everything and reassemble. And this will work on 6-volt horns, it'll work on 12-volt horns, they're made the same way. Different years of horns are slightly different inside, but the technique I'm about to show here will work equally well on all years. So this horn, you can see, has the original hardware on it, these little square nuts that run around the perimeter. And I can tell right off the bat that someone has taken this apart before because the nuts are not on straight. So I'm going to take these nuts and these screws off, and we'll take a look at what's inside. And while we do this, it's important to keep track of all your hardware so you don't lose it. So let's see what's going on inside here, and hopefully the original gasket is still intact. Okay, here it is. Here's the gasket. It's still attached to the inside of this outer cover, and it seems like it's stuck on here. It doesn't want to come off. So that could be a problem if my goal is to paint these, because I don't want to paint over this gasket. But it's stuck on here, so removing it could be a problem. So I might have to steam it off, or maybe slice it off by putting a razor blade underneath. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. But originally, these were like coated in wax or something, and that would keep the moisture out. So this part is looking pretty good. It's slightly rusted, but not too bad. So let's see what's going on inside here. All right. So the gasket, here it is. The gasket is here, which is good. Okay, so this is the inner electronics of the horn. And what's pretty cool about this is, even though this is almost 60 years old, it's still in really good condition. And that's thanks to the gaskets and the way it was sealed up. And if you look inside here, this is the area right here that I'm concerned about. Between this top piece of metal and underneath, there are some contact points. And the reason the horn will stop working is because these contact points accumulate like corrosion and buildup. And what I need to do is take this apart and clean these out, and this thing will work again. It's pretty simple. I need to remove this screw, and I need to remove this screw from behind. So if we turn this over, behind this bracket, I have to move this out of the way, there's a seal that's made out of, I think it's made out of wax. And I have to scrape this out so I can get access to the top of the screw that's underneath. So I need to get a wrench. I'm going to take this bracket off, and we're going to clear that out. So what I need to do here is remove this stuff without damaging the screw underneath, which I've done before actually when I was careless. So you have to scrape that out carefully without damaging the head of the screw, otherwise that's another trip to the hardware store, which we want to try to avoid. Basically, to get this out, you just scrape across it sideways. This one is particularly stubborn. Sometimes they come out easy, sometimes it's hard. I've done a bunch of these horns, and I've been able to take this seal off without too much difficulty, but this is actually the hardest one I've ever done. So just lucky me that I caught this on camera. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break out the drill, but I'm not gonna go straight in because I don't want to damage the top of that screw. I'm gonna go in at an angle without drilling into the backlight part of the horn and without drilling into the screw itself. All right, so that was cool, that came off. I'm just putting light pressure on it. I don't want to damage anything. All right, awesome. All right, I think I've removed enough of this material where I can now just take the screw out. All right, it's turning. This is really exciting. Here it comes. I'm going to flip this over so we can see what's going on the other side. So on the inside of the horn, this is the opposite side of the screw that I've been taking out. And what it's doing is it's loosening up this area here. So I have to remove this screw and this screw. Some more of that red gunk in there after I took the screw out. And inside here, I'm going to remove this screw. And that spring just fell out. That's an important spring. We don't want to lose that. I'm holding my finger on these parts so that when this comes off, I'll be able to remember the right order. So, one thing I don't want to do is to damage any of these parts inside. I'm just going to leave this in place. I'm going to leave this spring here so I don't lose it. So, if we look at this, we've got the metal piece that goes on top. There's another piece of metal underneath, and in between are the contact points. And actually, this is kind of fun. This is stuck on so bad that it's not even moving. So let me rotate. Okay, so now you can see here all the buildup, all the corrosion that's on this contact point. And if I flip it over, you can see even more over here on this one. It's kind of hard to film, but this is the contact point that's on the bottom, and this is the contact point that's on the top. And the way we clean that off is very simple. I'm going to break out the sandpaper. And this is 800 grit. I did mention that every year horn is slightly different. So it looks like whatever year this came off of, this is held together with like this yellow plastic washer. So these parts don't come apart. They stay together as one unit. But other horns I've taken apart previously, these three pieces will actually just come apart and it's easy to get them mixed up. So a tip for you is you always have your other horns. So I suggest taking them apart one at a time so that if you do get mixed up on how these pieces go back together, you can refer to the other horn. So a lot of this comes off by hand. You can see the soot on my fingers. And if I do it, same thing on the opposite side. Yeah, there's a lot more soot coming off there. I can even scrape some of this off with my finger now. So this is, like I said, very simple. I'll just get out the sandpaper and I'm gonna lightly sand these contact points until they look clean. And I wanna sand it just enough to get the debris off and the soot. I don't wanna sand it so much that I file down the contact points themselves. Just wanna get the soot off of here. Okay, so I'm ready to reassemble. So the pieces that we have to keep in mind are the washer. There's a metal washer right here that goes right there. Don't want to lose that. The screw that gave me so much trouble before to remove with that wax coating goes in the back through the washer. The spring goes here. Now on the back of this, you'll notice this tiny, tiny little red paper washer. That goes over here. In the back of the horn are the terminals where the wires will attach once this thing is installed in the car. This paper washer goes inside, so we don't want to lose that. Make sure that it's in there straight, and it is now. This is the terminal. There's nothing holding it in place because I took the screw out on the opposite side. This goes in this direction, and this screw goes in here. Tighten that up. And now I'm going to screw in that difficult screw from before. Just have to compress it with my hand from the opposite side while I'm working the screw in. All right, and it's through. Something that's hard to see, but I'll take a picture of, is the points that are on the top here and on the bottom here. They're round, so you want to make sure they're evenly faced from top to bottom, because if they're like off center a little bit, the horn may not work, or it may not work as well. So I'm just going to tighten this down halfway. All right, next step in the process is to put this back on. This is the part that actually, it's like a speaker that makes the noise. these metal plates are aligned with the magnets under here. So you want to make sure that this fits in the same way. So put that down. But look, I forgot this part. Put the gasket in, and then I'm going to lay this down so it's at 12 noon. And then this goes on top. Now I have to screw this down. Okay, so for now I've just installed 4 screws and nuts in this thing. I'm not installing all the nuts because at this stage I'm just testing it. I want to make sure it works. And if it does work, I'm going to take it apart again and paint it. If it doesn't work, then I have to go inside and try to figure out if I put it back together wrong or if there's some other thing I did that could make it work. Okay, so this is a 12-volt battery and this is a 6-volt horn. I don't have a 6-volt battery right now to test this with. So this is the best I can do right now working in a home garage. I'm going to attach this terminal and see if we have any sound. All right, so it's going to work. I just have to do one thing, and that is adjust this screw. The screw that gave me such a hard time before, that's the set screw, and that's how we're going to tune this horn. So I'm going to give it one turn clockwise and see what happens. This is a matter of trial and error. Right, so that didn't work. So we're going to give it another clockwise turn. Seems to me it's getting worse, so I'm going to turn in the opposite direction. All right, so that 6-volt horn is working again. Here's a pair of 12-volt horns that I restored for my Karmann Ghia project. Karmann Ghia horns are dual tone, so there's a high pitch and a low pitch, and they honk together. So let's give this a quick test and hear that unique Karmann Ghia horn honking sound. Okay, here we go. Here's the test. Honking my horn. Well, that was music to my ears. Hopefully you can get your horns working again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to leave your comments. And that's it. It's done. Happy honking. It's a waste of money and a waste of time. Italian bastard child.